Shifting our focus to Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who has landed in Sydney. Those are the images on your screen right now. The visuals first here on CNN News 18. Prime Minister on a two-day visit to Australia. Multiple critical issues of crucial cooperation between the two nations on the table right now. And it's only been just about 2 months since we had the Australian counterpart first visit to India. And these are ties with the Australians that have developed for the good for our nation in the last 1 decade. Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Sydney right now. He's on a two-day visit, as I earlier said. There are youth celebrations that have been organized by the Indian diaspora, which is present in Australia in huge number. Australia is one of the countries, Western countries, where Indians reside in huge numbers. There are various programs which have been lined up for the next 2 days. It's a power-packed schedule for the Prime Minister. Last visit of the Prime Minister in Australia was back in 2014, not long after he was elected. There were crowds of people on the last visit as well, and it is anticipated that even this time there are a huge number of people, the diaspora, which has gathered to welcome Prime Minister once again on the Australian ties. If you talk about the relationship between the two countries, Australia and India, the two countries have come together on a slew of important issues. This includes building secure and resilient supply chains, especially in the Indo-Pacific region. The Chinese threat and the Chinese expansionist policies is something that concerns Indians and the Australians equally. We have seen that clean energy, electric vehicles, semiconductors are other crucial things into the manufacturing domain, into the exchange of technology, where the two countries have worked in close cooperation. All these important factors, all these important issues are what comprises of this important visit of the Prime Minister in Australia right now. Apart from business, the cultural ties of the two countries, of course, that's also very important. We also remember that Australia and India in the last 2 decades have enjoyed close cultural ties thanks to the Indian diaspora, which is very important for the Australian country as well, for Australia as well, keeping in mind that Indians form an important backbone, an important part of the business community in that particular country. Well, as I was earlier talking about the need to build secure and resilient supply chains, important to ensure that on the clean energy, electric vehicles, semiconductors, aerospace, defense, on all of these, important strategic points on which we have seen close cooperation. I want to cut across to Anand Narasimhan, who is in Australia tracking this very crucial visit of the Prime Minister. Anand, what does the itinerary look like? Tell us about what's happening right now.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi is just about to arrive. I'm just getting my earpods on so that I can speak with you properly, Anusha. But Prime Minister Narendra Modi is just about to arrive at the Shangri-La Hotel. We are given to understand that he's currently en route. He's, now I can hear you. So he's currently en route from the airport from Sydney. He was supposed to arrive at 8 p.m. Sydney time, local time. That's about 3:30 p.m. IST. But his delay he was delayed. His departure was delayed from Papua New Guinea. The story that we need to take away is that even as he's arriving at Sydney, he's coming up with so much of warmth, so much of love and so much of affection from the people of the Asia-Oceania nations, about 14 nations, the nations of Fiji, the nations of Palau, the nations of Papua New Guinea itself, conferring him with some great gifts, great civilian honors and awards, which is perhaps never before. Never before has the red carpet been laid out for a Prime Minister like it has been for PM Narendra Modi. Never before has something like this been done for a nation's leader. And PM Narendra Modi has been able to allow these nations to tide over the disappointment of Joe Biden cancelling his visit to Papua New Guinea. The New Zealand Prime Minister goes there, and I think India's now steered the discourse and perhaps put the spotlight on those nations that were generally passed over. They were those flyover nations which happened, which were never considered as important in the Asia-Oceanic region. But India also now looks at itself as a leader of the global south. That's how exactly India has been wanting to position itself. But more importantly, they get vital support. India gets vital support for backing these nations, voicing the concerns of these nations at the multilateral and multinational platforms. Then it will also get its support at WTO. It will also get the support of these nations at the UN. And that will be significant in taking the cause of the global south and fighting for it. We saw this come to fruition at the previous WTO edition under the Union Minister Piyush Goyal, where across 5 or 6 various points, India was able to enforce and push through certain aspects in the paragraphs in the way it was worded, way it was written, aspects and concerns of nations like India and other developing nations as far as the water is concerned, use of the waters, maritime trade, maritime fishing, all of these aspects are concerned, even with rice, and of course beyond that in terms of getting a vaccine waiver and a TRIPS waiver. So that aspects with TRIPS waiver in providing medicine to nations which need it, the concerns of smaller nations, this India has been doing quite well. More importantly, look to the other side. Let me just pan across and let me ask Arpit to just show the diaspora that's been waiting. Where I stand right now, I had to take off my blazer and wear an overall jumper because it's about 5 degrees outside, 5 to 6 degrees in the evening. It's the Sydney evening, but you look at the diaspora, young children, 8 years old, 9 years old, a 9-month-old is there, people from various walks of life, the entire Indian diaspora cutting across, they're all present there. There is representation from Haryana, Gujarat, Maharashtra, from Telangana, from Kerala, various parts of the country. People have come there and they're very patiently waiting. They've been here for nearly 2.5 to 3 hours, going through the security drill, the protocols, and of course then tiding over the delay of about 45 minutes to an hour that the Prime Minister is now facing, because he was supposed to have been here by about 8:15, 8:20 local time. It's about 9:15 and we are expecting him to be here by about 9:35, 9:25, 9:30 local time. That's when we are expecting him to come here. They've cleared the roads and he's coming in. What we are expecting is that you see the road ahead, you see the lady closest to us, that's where the Prime Minister's car will turn and he'll stop, he'll get down and then he'll meet the entire Indian diaspora, engage with them and then make his way into the hotel where there is a red carpet welcome that is already arranged for him. The Prime Minister has no engagements tonight. It's been a long day for him, but what he's done as a departure from the usual is that this time in Japan and also in Papua New Guinea, he stepped out to engage with the Indian diaspora, spent about 2 to 3 minutes with them, and that's exactly what we're expecting him to do today here. Engage with the women, the children, the little girls who are waiting there, the young boys who are waiting there, and of course some of the members of the Indian diaspora here. And I'll tell you, they are not just from Sydney. Some of them have actually flown in from Melbourne.
Yeah.
And this is just a small jhalak of what you're going to see at the Kudos Bank Arena in less than 24 hours from now, where it's packed to the rafters, I have to tell you. Not 20,000 capacity, there are 23,000 people who are waiting to get into that area to listen to the Prime Minister and to meet him.
And Anand, as you tell us about what is anticipated, and of course that grand event that Prime Minister is all set to attend, about more than 20,000 people, about 23,000 people who might be in attendance. What does the itinerary look like? What kind of cooperation that we can see with the Australians in this important, crucial visit of the Prime Minister?
See, one of the important things that we must note is that the entire itinerary got reworked because of the Quad being cancelled.
Yes.
That actually has allowed, but the PM didn't cancel his visit. So what happened is that the Prime Minister now has a lot of time that is opened up. And because the time has opened up, the Quad's not happening. So only one bilateral with the Australian Prime Minister, which is there. But we are given to understand that Anthony Albanese and his team have ensured that the Prime Minister has his calendar filled up with engagements with various aspects of the business fraternity, and there are meetings. Tomorrow morning 9:50 there is a guard of honor that will be given to the Prime Minister, after which at 10 a.m. he starts his first set of meetings, which is a business delegation, and there is an engagement with the business delegation. Then after that at 12:30 is the next meeting that happens, and then between that there is some space for his conversations with Anthony Albanese that will also spill over into the day after. But I think the most significant aspect is the engagement tomorrow evening at the Kudos Bank Arena, where even though the festivities will begin from about noon, the Prime Minister is expected to get there around between 5:45 and 6 p.m. and he will be there for a good 2.5 hours. 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. is the Prime Minister's engagement with the Indian diaspora, who organized this grand reception for him, and he's expected to speak and address the diaspora there too. So that's where perhaps the open acknowledgement will happen. Of the love that that's been showered upon from the people in the Asia-Oceania region, those 14 nations. Plus, there will perhaps be the announcement that this area in Harris Park, that in Sydney, in the Parramatta region in Sydney, will be named Little India. I think the work on it has started, and that should be we should see fruition with a formal announcement by the Prime Minister himself tomorrow in the presence of the Australian Prime Minister.
So, Anand, you've spoken about what we are likely to witness in the next few hours as the Prime Minister comes and meets the people from the diaspora who are waiting, in this cold weather to meet the Prime Minister. There are children, women, men from different quarters who have travelled. You also told us about the itinerary. Let's also talk about the soft power that India brings to the table. You spoke to various members of the business community. A lot of them are people who are living in Australia now, who might be Australian citizens but have Indian heritage and Indian cultural background. The soft power that India brings to the table in terms of cultural cooperation and Indian community and diaspora being an important aspect.
We have the advanced cavalcade already here, the security cavalcade. So I'm going to just hold on to that question. Anusha, let's stay with the pictures because Prime Minister Narendra Modi is coming in. And there you see, this is the advanced cavalcade and the security protocol. And that's the Prime Minister's vehicle. That is the Prime Minister's vehicle. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the Indian Prime Minister, is there. He will get off and he will engage with the Indian diaspora. So that's the advanced cavalcade that takes the entire Prime Minister's entourage with the Prime Minister. The PM gets down. There are chants of Modi, Modi, Modi. The SPG, the security group, everybody present there. We have to see. There you go. The Prime Minister is right there. We also have the NSA Ajit Doval stepping out of the vehicle right behind him. The Prime Minister stepping down right at the entrance of the hotel. Will he take a walk and will he walk across to the Indian diaspora? That's what we've got to see. We spot the Prime Minister getting off, the Indian diaspora waiting for him. We are given to understand that he should come across to meet with the Indian diaspora, but we'll see. There you go. There are people chanting on them. There you go. Prime Minister is taking the walk. He is walking towards the people. He is walking towards members of the Indian diaspora. There he steps out of the car and he's walking. He's walking to say namaste. He's walking to say hello. So the Prime Minister's media and there you go. The Prime Minister is engaging with the people there, meeting the children. The shake hand happens and we're given to understand that he was wearing a jacket made out of plastic bottles when he had touched down in Papua New Guinea. We'll have to see if this is just a different shade of the same material that he is wearing today here as he arrives in Sydney. There you go, engaging with the various members of the Indian fraternity, shaking hands with them. This is something which usually he would just do it from a distance, but now these days he started engaging closer. Handshakes are happening, meet and greet is happening. Post-COVID, perhaps the Prime Minister saying, let me just go and meet up and speak with people individually. There are a lot of people who've waited for a while to try and meet the Prime Minister, and they are getting to see him. That's the special effort. This is the media that's got close access to the Prime Minister, which is going right with him. But we've been asked to stand on the other side of the street because there are certain security concerns also that have been voiced. There are people with a photo and a portrait of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, which they want to gift him. He has accepted the gift. His team has actually given up the gift. And the Prime Minister accepting that gift. There are also members of the Bodhi community who are present here with their roots from Maharashtra and Gujarat. And I just spoke to them a short while ago. So they are also there meeting with the Prime Minister, engaging with the Prime Minister. We will try and show you the visuals raising up one of the car. There you go. That's the Prime Minister. Now he's walking further up. He's walking further up. It's not that he's just meeting the first group of people. He's walking further up. They're engaging with the members of the Bora community who are there, residents of Sydney and of Melbourne, people with roots from Maharashtra and Gujarat who are very proud of what the Prime Minister is doing for the country, and they've come there to show their solidarity and support for his efforts. There are again groups from Maharashtra, ladies who have dressed in traditional Maharashtrian attire in this biting cold, and because they want to greet Prime Minister Narendra Modi in traditional style. So they are also present there. They are out there. He's engaging with them, shaking hands, meeting with them. There are little kids present there, so speaking with them, engaging with them. And I think each of these groups, representations, using this moment to say hello to him and to welcome him to Australia. in Sydney. That's the engagement, that's the love that he's getting from the Indian diaspora. And this is happening not just in Japan or in Papua New Guinea, it's happening here in Sydney too. They're very, very excited. Last he came here was in 2014, Anusha.
Yes. And, people to people connect for the Prime Minister, Anand, has always been very important. Now, it's not happening from a distance, as you said. There are people who are present in huge numbers. Some of them who have gotten these small tokens or gift for the Prime Minister, or something they want his autograph on. How many people are present there? And after this meet and greet of the Prime Minister, an unofficial one, what is lined up for him for today?
Well, there are no engagements today. I think it's rest for him tonight. There are no engagements today. We were given to understand earlier that there could be a closed-door meeting,
yes,
but I don't think there is anything scheduled right now. But we have about 80 to 100 members of the Indian diaspora who have been, there is a barricade that's created and who've been there. There are little kids who are there. There is a young girl who's just 10 years old who wanted to sing a song, Jayatu Jayati Bharatam, for the Prime Minister. She's singing 2 lines there. I think he is listening to her. She's right at that spot where the Prime Minister is right now.
Right.
I'm unable to see the visuals because they're of the crowd, but I'm sure you can catch it on the camera. That little girl wanting to sing 2 lines for the Prime Minister. And then further on, there are other families, other members who have, some of them come from Melbourne for the event tomorrow, who have come in a night earlier to be able to see the Prime Minister here and to welcome him. But mostly, these are all residents of Sydney. And they have a little bit of a way to go by the time they finish this engagement. It's a Monday evening, a work day. Some of them have come out early from work, early from their businesses, just so that they have this moment with the Prime Minister and a chance to shake hands or to say hello or namaste.
Well, children are indeed present in huge numbers, and Ananda, we're talking about those pictures that you were referring to. There's a little girl, there's a toddler who are out there in this biting cold just to catch a glimpse of the Prime Minister. Let's also talk about the cultural connect between the two countries, which is visible in this very strong Indian diaspora, which has come out today in huge numbers. It points out to the huge commitment that the two countries have in common, the cultural meeting ground for the two countries, which in some way lays down the foundation for another important strategic ties like cooperation in business, trade and various other aspects.
Yes, it is, and it's quite a strong diaspora there. Goes into 1.8 million, if not more.
Yeah.
The last I know, the numbers of the Indian diaspora here, very significant contributors to the Australian economy and a very powerful voice slowly within the constituency. Prime Minister not only meeting everybody, waving to all of them, saying thank you, and then walking in. Now, this is after a long, grueling, tiring day in Papua New Guinea and a grueling schedule that he follows. It's just amazing the kind of energy that he oozes, and you can see that energy pass through even with the people who are here. They're just so thrilled to just see him. That's what we can see. But yes, this diaspora has a strong representation. This diaspora has a story to tell, and this diaspora is finding its voice. And more importantly, they believe that because of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his efforts and the increased engagement between India and Australia, there is also a newfound sense of respect that they have been able to find. So it's not just that they're seen as a migrant group or a labor class, they are seen as active contributors to the economy, and there is a sense of respect. वो कहते हैं ना जैसे कि हमारा stature बढ़ गया, ओहदा बढ़ गया. So that is something which is a common feeling that I have got from them so far whenever I've spoken with them.
Anand Narasimhan reporting from Sydney, Australia. He's tracking this crucial visit of the Prime Minister, the 2-day visit. On your screen right now, viewers, are the images of the Prime Minister when he landed in Sydney, when he took that trip. He came out there near the building, and there were huge number of people who were out there waiting for him for a while, for the Prime Minister to land in Sydney so that they could greet him. These are people of Indian diaspora, mostly from Sydney, but some of them have also travelled from different parts of Australia just to catch a glimpse of the Prime Minister. Of course, that mega event will happen.